Hey everybody, welcome to your Wednesday edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. I'm here with the comedians known as Talent and the comedian known as Fig. If you guys have got to have known these guys. If you don't know them, quick, brief history, these guys have been in film, television, commercials. They've been everywhere and anything, even up and down the East Coast and actually nationally. These guys have hit the road all the time. So this is a show called The Box Seats. This is where we talk. We're comics, we talk comedy, but we talk it with sports. That's why these two comics are up here. Now, anyway, let's jump off into this real fast. I want to go through real quick about obviously the top stories, and then I want to jump into what that big story is of the day. Top stories today is WNBA Sue Bird and the team Seattle Storm. They won the WNBA title last night. They swept Las Vegas 3-0. It's the first team with 3 sweeps. Congratulations to them. We got to get Talent Fig. We got to get Sue Bird on. We got to get that. Steve,
I'm gonna track her down because let me tell you something. First of all, I'm a super duper WNBA fan. I went to one game early on in the Garden, and that was a wrap for me. Years after that, I could not stop being obsessed with how they play, the energy in the room. But this woman here is a champion among champions. We talking 10 championships, 4 gold medals in the Olympics, 4 joints in the league. We're talking 2 with UConn in college. Like, she's just a champion above champ, and she's not looking to retire.
Right, and she got 6 rings, so she's gonna keep that going. We also got to talk about the Yankees, the Major League Baseball. The Yankees lost to Tampa Bay. Houston Astros on the verge of going to an ALCS with no cheating involved. We got to say that out there. The Dodgers beat the Padres, and then we got to start talking about the NFL. With I don't know about you guys when you heard, but when I woke up this morning, the news broke that Stephen Gilmore he tested positive for the corona. And also another news bit was that the Chargers and the Saints game is going to be moved to Indy because of Hurricane Delta. That's what they're thinking about doing right now. But back again, let's start off this show right now talking about Stephon Gilmore testing positive. Here's the thing that stuck out to me when I was listening to all the news broadcasts that everybody was saying. They were saying the NFL is concerned because certain teams are not following protocol. Now, I wanted to scream at the TV saying, y'all don't know Bill Belichick, because one thing that the Patriots do, and they will do, is those boys all stay in line and they all stay, and follow protocol. So there's that. That was number one. And number two, the next thing that jumped in my mind was, at the end of the game with the Kansas City Chiefs game, I don't know if you guys saw it, Patrick Mahomes walked in, he gave dap to Stephon Gilmore. That was Monday. So, Talent, when you first see this and you hear this news and everything, what's the first thing that jumps off in your mind?
Well, we know what the contact tracing is all about. You went over and gave dap. That means you got in that space. And, the NFL has been really mad and some statements released right after Sunday and adamant about these helmets being off and this interaction because they're not in the bubble yet. Maybe playoff time. But right now, you're just making it at risk for everybody. When I heard about it, Frank, I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to be taken aback with all of these positive cases. I'm just not. I'm expecting them, actually. The only thing that's going to shock me maybe are the names. You know what I mean? Like when you hear Mahomes, then, Mahomes got it. This one got it. Brady got it. You know what I mean? If you hear a big name. But other than that, I'm not surprised at all when I hear.
Okay, Fig. Here's the thing. Cam was with Stephon Gilmore. He was one of the 20 people who was who was separated and everything else. He was flying on that plane. There's 20 people. So is it safe to assume in your mind that Kansas City is really petrified of it? But is it safe to assume in your mind that Patrick Mahomes could be the next big name since they gave him dap and they were hugging each other and they were feeling, you know what I mean? Let's even take that up one. All the people he tackled should be concerned in Kansas City game too. You know what I mean? But what's your thought process when you hear about this?
Man, the way you said it, man, you made it sound like they was at the drive-in. Giving them dabbies, hugging on them, and I was like, wait a minute, man. I mean, what kind of game was you watching, man?
After the game, they were doing all.
You was watching your game on the internet, Frank. I think that was somebody else.
What's your thought?
Yeah, man, it's scary, man, because look. The whole thing is that this whole virus is brand new. You know what I mean? It started in March, but relatively speaking, man, it's still brand new to us. We don't know anything about it. We don't really know how you catch it. and stuff like that. So I mean, yeah, if somebody has it and you know they had direct contact with somebody else, it you know, you could put two and two together and say it's a possibility, you know, but then again, we really don't know. You said Cam had it, now Gilmore has it, and they were together, you know what I mean, on the plane or whatever and stuff like that. So I mean, to tell you the truth, like talent, I'm expecting more to come out as opposed to less. You know, to me, it's just a matter of time. I don't know what the NFL is doing. Certainly, they're not doing like Major League Baseball. They definitely are not doing like the NBA. They seem like the lone wolf out there doing their own thing. So yeah, I expect the numbers to go up drastically.
Callan, here's the thing: the Raiders placed more players on the injuries on the reserve COVID list. Tennessee now has they broke out this morning saying they have 2 more players. So now the Raiders are affected. The Kansas City Chiefs are affected. The New England Patriots are affected. Tennessee Titans. I'm thinking that we're looking at. I mean, I don't know what your thought process is, but I'm thinking that the Super Bowl is not going to be the date that they're saying it's going to be. I think that no matter what, the NFL is not going to stop. Like they're going to continue on. But I'm thinking that eventually certain teams are going to be affected and they're going to have to not play that upcoming Sunday, which is going to push the weeks on and push and prolong the season. You know what I'm saying? I heard this morning too that they were thinking about saying that, you know, they could push the Super Bowl back, but they were concerned about that. I don't know. What's your thought process on that? You know, push the week back?
To be honest with you, I don't believe that it's going to push the Super Bowl back. I think that's going to go on its schedule. I think that the NFL is going to get very creative with these midweek doubling up on Mondays and Thursdays, because you got to keep in mind those are already football nights, and you see that's what they want to do when they put the second game on this past Monday night. I think they're going to double up, if not a worst case scenario, hope not, but triple up even on a Monday and a Thursday. That's already a football game. You know what I mean? And then as you get to the playoffs, you got enough leeway to get even more creative, because now playoffs, we start playing on Saturday.
Right. Well, Fig, here's another concern. I heard this morning, Stephen A. even brought up this morning. He was like, you know, if they push teams back and everything else like that, the number 1 seed will probably get 3 weeks off instead of a normal 1 week, because now you're pushing things back and everything gets pushing back. Now you number 1 seed, and that's not going to. That might not be fair to a team that's number 1, because of look what happened to Baltimore last year. Just using them as an example, they had that week off, and that week off probably hurt them more than continuously playing, because they ran into a Tennessee Titan team that basically blew them off, because those boys had been playing, no weeks off. Baltimore had a week off, the boys got lax and they got smashed. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, what's your thought process and all that?
3 weeks is a long time to be off from football. You know what I mean? To you know, you lose your rhythm and you know, you lose your edge. Just like you said, that's the first thing that came to my mind. It's the same thing that happened to Baltimore last year. That extra week off seemed like it caused more damage than good. And here's the thing about it, man. The way this thing is going, I know you guys are maybe optimistic, but I'm not. I'm looking to see if we can find Keanu Reeves and get the replacements in here, because the way these starters is going down, it looked like you listen. You're gonna have to get some guys out of the grocery store, you know what I mean, that didn't make it, and put them on. Just put them, you know, put a uniform on them and put them on the field. I just don't see it lasting, man. I think the smartest commissioner in all the sports got to be Adam Silver and the NBA. The way they set up the bubble to protect their players and to protect the fans. They just did it the most safe, effective way possible, because there has not been one positive case in the bubble. And if that is not an example of the way to do things, then I don't know what is.
Well, you know what? I heard this morning from 3 different people on 3 different top shows that it's going to take federal intervention for the NFL to stop and to shut down.
Greed!
Three separate people said.
No. I know, but what I'm saying is it's greed. It's greedy.
Oh, I know that. I'm not saying that. And we all understand that is, first of all, the NFL owners and the NFL itself should be creating some kind of bubble situation. They're not doing it. They put down some protocol. They expect the teams to handle a certain protocol. Certain teams that have certain strict, really strict coaches, I know for like Bill Belichick, but for the NFL to put out there that Bill Belichick's team is not following the right protocol, those dudes have got to be crazy, because one thing Bill Belichick does is he follows protocol. Like, you can't even be 2 minutes late for his meeting. You can't be two. Only a Jets fan would say that, make that face, because they don't.
Man, that get called out for it. Wait a minute.
They don't understand that.
Listen, we know that Bill Belichick runs a tight ship, man. But let me explain something to you. He does not determine what these guys do when they not at practice and when they not. They got to show up to work on time. They got to do their job on the field. But when they go home, Bill Belichick can't say what these guys are doing and what they not doing. You can't regulate what a guy does when he's off. I mean, if he could, how come Patriots fans are coming up positive?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that one thing you can know for certain is that his players will follow their guidelines, because they know that Bill ain't got no problem pulling you. And those guys, all their contracts under the Patriots organization are pay when you play when you get paid. That's how they are. He does that purposely, so he can maintain his whatever you want to call it over all of them. You know what I'm saying? That's just how he does it. But here's the thing I want to jump out to. We want to move forward because I want to talk about the NBA real quick in a second. But I saw this morning that it's going to make both of you guys go, Joe Flacco starting for the Jets this morning. News got announced for that. And of course, the Jets are not such as a underdog as everybody would expect, because Joe Flacco brings in a lot of cachet, so to speak. So, Talon, do you think the Jets having Joe Flacco come in will be a difference maker for the Jets organization? He could be the guy bringing them back from the doldrums of being in the bottom. What do you think?
I mean, one way or another, yes, I believe that, because it's two things that could happen. Either way, it's when you're over, nothing can get worse. It could only get better. So It could either get better by him being an igniting quarterback himself, or the fact that you have that position that piss the other guy off and make him play better when he comes back. So either way, it becomes this igniter and fire starter that is going to get under somebody's skin. So either he's going to come in, be a big difference maker physically himself, and play ball and get the guys kind of riled up to play under him, sort of like a Nick Foles did for Philly. Or the guy that's sitting down for a minute is going to be pissed off that he's sitting down and put some fire under his ass to play better ball. Either way, can't hurt no more. It's got to help.
That's what I think. Same thing. Same question to you, Fig. You think having Joe Flacco coming up starting? They're saying Sam Darnold's hurt. He hurt his shoulder. But I think they're just saying that to say that, because Sam Darnold hurt his shoulder and he continued to play last game. So now his shoulder's so hurt that he can't start the next game, and Joe Flacco start. What's your thought process hearing about that?
I mean, look, it's a possibility, but I don't know how Joe Flacco is the great savior, because, just recently we was calling him Joe Fluco because he was a fluke. So when did the Fluco change back to Flacco? I don't know. What is he going to do with the Jets? Is he going to give him an offensive line, or is he going to be running for his life too? You understand what I'm saying? Look, a quarterback is the most important part on a football team. We all know that. But you got to protect the guy. And in protect the guy, you need a line. You know what I mean? So what is Joe Flacco going to do that Sam can't? You take a Joe over a Sam.
Listen, I can't knock either thing that you guys have said about that. All I can say is that one thing for sure, they can't get any worse. You know what I mean? They can't get
right. That's what I'm saying.
They can't get any worse. But now, like I told you,
that's my point. You can't. You're in a position where it has to ignite one way or the other. It's either directly, as we know it, with the person that's getting in, or it's indirectly with the people who are pissed off of the person getting in. Either way, it ignites her. It's like a side chick. You bring a side chick home, it's going to change the situation one way or the other.
Yeah.
The side chick is going to outperform the regular chick, or the regular chick's going to get pissed off and kill both of you. Same thing.
One thing, if you bring a side chick home, you can't be an average Joe.
Anyway, let's move this conversation on. I told you all we were getting ready to talk about some NBA. Last night, the Lakers, they came out with an amazing game, but I got to tell both of you all, the Eric Spoelstra's Miami Heat, they balled out to me. Like, they played like you wouldn't believe. And I was extremely impressed with Eric Spoelstra's coaching up until maybe 2-3 minutes left to go in the game. But I want to ask both of you. But before I ask either one of you about Eric Spoelstra's coaching, let me bring in New York legend, 12-year veteran. He took the Knicks to the finals in 1999, two-time NBA All-Star, gold medal winner for the 2000 Summer Olympics, Mr. Allan Houston. Allan, thank you for coming.
What up? How you doing, man? What up, Tyler?
What's going on, eh?
How you doing, man?
I got to ask you, man. I was getting ready to ask the fellas. I got to ask you because I was extremely impressed with Allan Houston's coaching last night. And normally I don't get that impressed. I mean, I got impressed. I mean, really, really impressed one time.
I coach.
Yeah.
Look, Allan said I wasn't coaching.
No, I said I can coach. I can coach. You know, my father was a coach. You know, hey, no, go ahead.
What did you think about his coaching, Eric Spoelstra's coaching?
Well, I mean, first of all, I've just been impressed with the culture, you know, that they've created. And you know, when I think of coaching, so much. You know, when you're in the timeouts and your strategy, that's the icing on the cake. The foundation has been built from day one with the mindset, the culture, like everything, you know. And the first two games, what I saw, which surprised me a little bit, they didn't have the pressure, the force, right, that they usually play with. And the last two games, you saw that resistance. Man, you think about it, like Anthony Davis, LeBron, you're basically guarding your guards and can switch out with their perimeter guys on your center and your point power forward. Like that's hard to do anything with, no matter what the strategy is, when you have those guys that are so versatile defensively and then offensively, you know, look at what they can do. So, I mean, it's tough when you get to the finals and you don't have, you know, your full team, your full strength. And that made it tough. But I think, you know, the Lakers are superior in terms of their size. And that just really takes a lot of options. But you saw the last possession when Jimmy Butler really needed to go one-on-one. And I think they had about a minute and a half left. And he had LeBron on him. He got to the paint and he just had to give the ball up. That's right there is the difference in winning championships, is when your best player can line up one-on-one and overwhelm the other team's best player. You know, that's just the nature of basketball, right? So you can talk about strategy and coaching, but if you don't have those pieces, and you can see that LeBron has elevated AD's game to a whole nother stratosphere because of his leadership, his standard, and his approach to the game. You know, so but it's. I'm very happy with, you know, the way Adam Silver, and shout out to my man Mark Tatum, deputy commissioner, my frat brother. You know how they've, you know, and it's been a blessing because the NBA, you have to be in this confined environment, so it's been more conducive to health and safety. But I just think they did a great job.
Right. Talon, you got a question for him?
Oh, absolutely. This is my dude right here. First of all, hey, thanks again, man, for giving us some time on the show. This is a new show, and you know we had some great guests. So I said you can't have a great guest without my greatest guest. I got to make this call. So I appreciate your time. Here's my question. My question to you is with this bubble thing. The one thing we've been comparing is to football and baseball since it started, and Fig just said it right before you came on the thing, is how they haven't had any cases. It's been an overall damn near 100% success of what they're doing. And as people lose or the games are over, they're going home.
Yeah.
The question that comes up is the family issue, because obviously we're going to be going to another season, most likely still in the bubble. You're a family guy. You're like me. I think we both got 6 kids now, right? 6?
I got 7.
7.
Oh, yes, sir.
Damn it. Anyway, you're a family dude. How would this have applied to you if we're playing, number 20 still playing with the Knicks, we're in the bubble? How do you handle this bubble thing with the fam?
Great point, man. Great point. I had this conversation early on, like what would I have done? I saw a lot of people, a lot of guys who had kids at home with health, were high risk, and guys decided not to. And I cannot fault that player, because at the end of the day, like, you have to live with your family, your decision, and what you're dealing with. I think for me personally, I would have just said, this is my job. This is my career. I remember going away for the Olympics for, almost the whole summer. My daughter, my wife was pregnant. My had a 1-year-old, and you leave in the summer before that. I was gone the whole summer for Puerto Rico to have to qualify for the Olympics. Those were 2 summers in my life but you know what? You get this window. So I go back to this in talent. We always talk about this. When God gives you a gift and a platform, you don't know how long that's going to last.
Right.
And you think about how much bigger you have a responsibility to make it. You know what I mean? And so this is a window that I would have probably been hard for me to do. But I'm like, look, and my wife would have been like, man, that's your job. It's your job. What you could actually do for us and our family and other people could elevate after this, right? And so we'll be good. God got us. You know what I mean? And that's probably what I can say that now. It's easy for me to say that now, but we've never had to even think about what that would have been like. I don't know. Right. This is an experience that I've never had to go through, and I gotta give them a lot of credit for how they've gone through as well. But I think that's what I would have done.
I can't believe you got one more kid than me. I'm kind of upset.
Hey,
after this show, I'm gonna have to get on the phone.
You gotta go back.
Man, listen, I'm all over the place, man. You're one of my favorite Knicks of all time, man. 7 kids, man. That's the number of completion, man. You completed your job.
No, the completion is that my wife is still with me. That's the completion. That's right. That's the finish right there.
Yes, sir. Listen, I want to go fantasy for a minute. I know, like I said, you're one of my favorite Knicks. I got a couple all-time players that I absolutely love. Got on my Knick Orange today. If you could have played with another era with another New York Knick, what is there a player that you would have loved to have had the opportunity to play with?
Man, that's a great question. I've never been asked that question before. It's a great question. I mean, anytime you think about impact, you think about winning, right? So my first thing is going to be 71 or 73. You know what I mean? Because you say okay, I wanted to know what that felt like. Right. You playing with Bill Bradley. You talking about Clyde. You talking about Earl. Like, what would that even like? Man, coming off the bench for Clyde and Earl. You know what I mean? I've experienced what winning is like, but that was a whole, and plus the way they played too, right? No 3-point line, shared the ball, played with pace, played fast, right? No 3-point line. So people talk about, man, Al, you would have loved to play in today's game. Yeah, but man, like now you just run into the 3-point line, going to the corner, running back, I want to get into my sauce. I want to get into that mid-range. I want to get into that post, and so, yeah, that would have been fun. But so I would say that obviously, I got a chance to play with Patrick, but man, Patrick was like in his last 5 years, imagine playing with him, and like Mark Jackson. Like, imagine playing that, Mark Jackson and Pat, like, man. And the other one is we can't forget Bernard. You know what I mean? Like playing with Bernard. You know what I mean? Like, so I would say that would be.
Hey, Allan, see the guy Frank. This is exciting to us. To Frank, he's a hater right now because that's Boston right there. So the nostalgia is a little bit lost. I think the question was great. You know what makes it amazing? When I get my tickets to go to the Knick game in the Garden, more times than not, they sit me right behind Mike Breen and Frazier, right? So when Allan was playing and I was going to those games, the funniest thing is I'm looking at him. I'm literally like half a seat behind him. And looking at Clyde, Clyde felt the same way. Like, I would have loved to play with this pure shooter. Like, every time Allan was hitting, he was on fire. You just look at the pride in Clyde, like the same question you just asked. It's just amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why, like, right now, people, I get it. People are like, man, what is? But I had a chance to spend, a week with the team inside the Knicks bubble and seeing Tibbs and seeing the level of expectation and standard that he's going to bring, the level of work ethic, the conditioning, like, it was really cool to see, that when we talk about culture, that's where it starts. It starts with your work ethic, right? It starts with your behavior. It starts with your mindset. It starts with, and all the fundamentals kind of fall in place. But it does really come down to your approach. And it was cool to see someone who helped me, before every practice, before every game, who was working me out? Tom Thibodeau.
Really?
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And so to see like him in this position, bringing that same, those same mechanics to this young group, man, I'm excited. It's going, it's obviously going to take some time, but you gotta build a strong foundation, and that's what it's about.
Alan, do you think it'd be fair? I'm not even sure if this is an even fair question for the rest of the other NBA teams, but there are teams who went to the bubble and there are teams who didn't. Do you think it would be fair for everybody to start in the NBA next season for teams that didn't? Because the teams that did are going to be mentally prepared for it, and the teams
there's nothing you can really do about it. Like, at the end of the day, that's why you have to tell guys, like, you don't know what's going to happen. Every day matters. So you lose those 5 games, you might not, now you missed out on being one of the 22 that did go to the bubble. Right. You know what I mean? So there's always like a cause and effect. But I don't think that you can look at it like, well, these guys got to. At the end of the day, this is something we've never experienced before. Some teams hadn't played for 7 months. They didn't go to the bubble. Some teams got to go to the bubble. They were gone in 3 weeks. So I'm just a firm believer that you do what you can do, and everything always works out as long as you do your job, put your work in. You're just prepared, and because most of the time it does come down to conditioning. Like, I was talking to people who were in the bubble. They were like, and first week you could tell who came into the bubble ready. Like, you could tell who had been training, who like their warm up, their routine, you could tell. And I think it's going to be the same thing coming out of this, going into whenever the season starts again.
Okay. All right. I see Mr. Rodney Perry wanted to quickly join the show.
Yo, what's up, Allan? First of all,
what's going on, Rob?
It's good to have a real Knick. I mean, these guys really love you. They're trying to be cool. Allan Houston, let me tell you something. These boys trying to be cool, but they really tripping right now. I am. Fig is over there weeping. He got a tear coming down his face. And shut up, Rodney. As I was reading your bio, man, like, and we talk about what era you would want to play with, but I mean, you went through some stuff with the as you look into the anti-Semitic that whole thing you went through. Yeah, that would have been crazy to go through now. Like, what was it like
I'll tell you
at that moment?
Well, what I tell you though, here's the thing. In New York, see, when you're in New York, you don't really feel any different because every day you have 12 cameras in your face. And the only difference is when you walk out the locker room. When we were playing, you didn't have to see it on your phone. Right. So now everything is like that. Now everybody knows what it's like to play in New York now. Because you can't hide from it. Right.
Oh wow. The whole world is New York.
Well, the whole world, like, because the only difference is it's not here. Like, you might find out something on here before you find out somebody call you and tell you something. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So, but that's the difference. But that whole thing was it was crazy, but it ended up being a blessing because I've gone to Israel twice. I went in 2008. And I went the first time I went. It was on my wife and our 13th anniversary. We got invited by a Jewish community relations committee that wanted to really help people in the Black community in New York, faith leaders, all these leaders go to see what Israel was about. So when you're studying the correlation between Jewish history, Christian history. You get to see it right up close. And then I went again and did a little tour. But really, man, it just went to show me, like, if you just stay true to who you are and be authentic, then people can't really mess your name up because it all comes out at the end of the day. Like, you know what I mean? And I remember telling one of our players, the only thing people you have something to prove to is your teammates as a player, because they know who you really are, right? They see you in your worst and they see you in your best, and their stories. When they do that documentary 20 years ago, when they're talking about, Last Dance and all this, they'll have the real stories. They know who you really are. So that's all I really thought about was at the end of the day, it all washes out, and the people who your name will be what it's going to be about how you are every day.
Hey, Allan Houston is historic. The Allan Houston rule is still in effect. Talk to me about like going through that real time. And did you understand it even before it start manifesting itself?
Well, my thing was I had tried for so in 2003, I knew my contract was up. I signed a deal in 2099, had 6 years, and I my best year was 2002. It's statistical. It wasn't teams. So that next year, I started feeling, I had this knee surgery, and I'm like, man, the recovery was jacked up. In 2003, 2004, I played like 50 games, and that was like for 10 years straight. I only missed 7 games. So for me, that one of the most proud stats for me is playing, for 7 years. Missing 10 games or 10 years missing 7 games, don't matter. But either one, it's like I prided myself on practicing when I didn't have to, playing, didn't miss games. So now when all of a sudden, you have a knee injury and people are like, man, what's going on? I'm like, listen, you know me, you know what I mean? So then you find out, well, man, okay, you know what? I just couldn't play. I remember sitting with Larry Brown and being like, you know what? I don't know if I can even finish training camp. So then he sat me down and was like, I think you should think about going into management. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is all too much. I am trying to think about all this right now, and then the next 2 years, the Knicks were I gotta tell you, they took care of it. And they said, look, we're gonna honor your contract, and people talk about, whatever they want to say about, Jim Dolan and the Knicks, but like, you do what you're supposed to do, man. You put it all out there, and you get taken care of. You know what I mean? And that's what I tell younger people is just do your job, do what you're supposed to do, put your head forward, and then the Knicks, honored that. Wow. But I couldn't worry about, what people kind of thought because they weren't in that room. They weren't with me after games when I couldn't even walk up steps, and had to go to practice the next day. And I knew that. I knew nobody would ever know that. But I didn't. So, but that's why I was like, my parents would always say, you got to look towards the end. So now I'm sitting here able to have this conversation and able to still be involved with the team and do all this stuff because you can't get caught up in the moment.
Right. And Allan, I got your back. So ain't nobody gonna do that. What Talon Harris is Allan Houston #1 fan. Ain't nothing happening in this. I got 2 words for you, and then I want you to promote the things you got going on because you got a lot of positive stuff. That's why I stay dealing with you. You're one of my mentors, whether you know it or not. But 2 words for you real quick, and then you go into shouting your stuff out. And are you still doing your thing live on IG?
We doing like a different version of it, but we're doing like we call this Fizzle Live, but yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. 2 words. Sue Bird.
Ha! One of the greatest ever. One of the greatest ever.
Is that amazing or what?
Man, I love Sue Bird. Love her game, Olympian, champion. Like when you think about winning, to me in sports in general, not just in women's basketball, like that's one of the names that's just gonna come up. Just winning. You know what I mean? It's just and over that long period of time, especially when you know how hard it is. It's hard enough to just play a season multiple seasons, but how hard it is to win.
Yeah.
That's a whole other level, right? It's one
They don't
thing
play but like 6 games, though, right, Allen?
What's that?
They don't play but like 6 games, right?
Well, regular season, but you know, a lot of them go overseas though. They don't stop.
Yeah,
you know, they playing year round.
Yeah.
So that's even tougher.
Right,
you know, and if and it's a luxury to be able to say, well, I'm not going to play overseas and pass up this $300,000. You pass that up, that means you're really doing something.
You're right.
You know,
No, that's right, yo.
Right,
you know,
A lot of you guys don't get the opportunity to see Allan Houston in the form and fashion that I have over the last decade, but he does a lot in the community. And this same passion that he's talking about, Frank, when he mentioned the foundation and the culture, he does that in his programs, whether it's Fathers Knows Best, whether it's Fizzle and stuff like that. Fizzle right now, I'm going to let him explain what Fizzle is and how we can be a part of that and finish that up, Allan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About how they can follow you, what your organizations you got, and everything else. Please tell everybody out there about that.
Yeah. So basically, I started an organization with me and my father. Talon has been part of the family for years. We start off doing like fatherhood initiatives, mentoring initiatives, because you know when you like he mentioned culture, right? And Tom Thibodeau, everybody needs a coach, right? We all still need a coach. We need somebody gonna push us, you know, rock with us. Sometimes it's our wife, but I think what our more than ever now, our young people and young leaders who are searching for themselves, searching for identity, like searching for my purpose and place in life. You got to find that through a framework, a lens, a philosophy, right? And so we just created this organization called Fizzle. And it stands for faith, integrity, sacrifice, leadership, and legacy. And our whole motto is like, how do we train leadership? How do we develop your legacy? How do you don't think about what it's going to be, but think about how you want to create that narrative now. Create that book. You got a book written on you. You got to write the book. Don't let somebody else write the book, right? And it comes down to your lifestyle, your mindset. So we just structure these workshops, these virtual workshops. They love to do one with us where we do these live, Fizzle live, and we do live mentoring sessions and leadership. So we developed this thing called the Huddle Guide. And the Huddle Guide is nothing different than what we're doing right now. We're huddling up, talking about life, so now you go out into your world and you're equipped. And the last part is we have a merchandising. God bless us with a merchandising line. I'm gonna make sure y'all get one of these, right? So I can't with NBA, let the NBA partner with the NBA, and we're creating this collection of social justice collection, and with messaging around social justice, empowering black economics. So we have proceeds going towards helping Black-owned businesses, Black, leadership development. So we came up with this message that with the NBA called "Love Our Game, Value Our Lives," because we're saying like, if you love this game, have been so blessed, then value my life. Don't just watch me, and cheer for me, but value my life when I'm home, when I'm going through what I'm going through, and value. And so Fizzle, our values, their value system. So we came up with this message. I'm gonna show it to y'all. We got the Knicks version.
Yes,
we got
sir.
the Love Our Game, Value Our Lives. Got the hoodie. I'm gonna make sure y'all laced up with one. But we got a collection. I'm trying to be like Talon. Like he got his comedy. Look, man, it's real out here, man. Like this ain't new. He's been saying that for 30 years. I'm surprised the merch is just now out. You know what I'm saying? So
Allan, thank you for joining the show, man. We really appreciate you. How can they follow you? What's your
Instagram? FISLL Fizzle FISLL.com. Hit us up. You can support us. We're launching a membership platform so you can come in and get all these tools, get equipped, and get outfitted. So come to fizzle.com, and we're gonna start doing these virtual events like this, man, and maybe we could do one together, man.
That'd be great.
Yo, man, I'm gonna send you some stuff too. My man.
Yeah, man. You see, the problem is if I wear that, I gotta be funny though. I don't know, man. If you say it's just comedy, I gotta have some in my pocket, man. I gotta have some jokes or something in my pocket. You need a booklet You need a packet.
Hey,
of
I put the jokes back here in the tag.
That's actually a great idea.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, come out with a little booklet, man. We'll come out with something.
Everybody at home, that's Allan Houston. Thank you for joining the show, Allan. We really greatly appreciate you.
Oh, man.
No doubt.
Thank you.
No doubt.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it, man.
All
All right, much love.
Wow.
Great.
We got to move on with the show and jump into Mr. Rodney Perry's I Disagree segment. And Rodney tried to hijack our segment and asking questions and stuff like that. But I'm going to let you, I disagree with that, Rodney, but I'm going to let you, you disagree with. Go ahead, man.
Well, here goes, Frank. You know what? We got to really Allan Houston just came on the show, dude.
Yeah, it's Allan Houston. Okay.
That was, I mean.
Look at Frank hating.
Hell.
Can you hear the hating voice, Rodney? Can you hear the hate in Frank's voice?
There's no hate.
Hater.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, all right, whatever.
He's no Robert Parrish. Anyway, you guys talked about the COVID-19 running rampant through the NFL.
Yeah.
I personally think the NFL is going to shut down. You know, I think it's coming down the pipe. And what we haven't talked about is the people that are asymptomatic, that have it, aren't showing any symptoms, but are passing it around. That's what we don't know. So that's crazy. Flacco to the Jets. I like Flacco, but Flacco is a little long in the tooth. You know, I mean, and he's not really replacing Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is hurt. He got a bad shoulder. So Flacco is coming in. I think the Jets might get a win this season.
I think so too. With Flacco, I think so too. Yeah.
The highlight of the show today was talent analogies. Let me tell you something. When talent give your ass an analogy, it's about to be impressive. He said, what did he say? He said, it's like a side chick. I'm like, what?
I know where that come from, right?
All the married dudes was like, whoa.
Like, I don't know nothing about that.
Can you not bring that shit up?
Right.
Stop fighting over that.
That was a horrible analogy, Rodney.
Yo,
Oh
hey,
my
Rodney.
God. Hey, I saw Frank eyes start bleeding.
Hey, Rodney. Yo, Rodney. I've been married so long, I thought a side chick was an extra piece of chicken.
It is. For me and you. Me, you, and Frank. Talent live in another world.
Yeah. This is a piece of chicken. Somebody said it's five piece.
I'm mad at Allan Houston. I'm going to say it. I'm mad. Tell you why. Because he got more kids than I have, and he had an injury. He was hurt. He wasn't that hurt.
That's when he made the last ones.
He couldn't walk up no stairs, but he could walk in that thing.
Yeah.
On the NBA, man, great game last night. This is the crazy part about that game. I don't know about y'all, but I threw this out in our chat. I think everybody on the court was spent. Like playing every other day is taking a toll on these guys. Yeah. You gotta think if they're not in the bubble, they don't play that. They play every 3 days.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So they get some recovery time between games. Every other day is a lot on this intense of a game. And so LeBron looks spent. Like I think you're gonna get that game one Lakers for this next game. But you also got Miami that's gonna be fresher too. So it should be a great game. But I mean, I saw something in the Miami Heat eyes. They ready to go home.
I think they might take another one, Rodney.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. You know why? Because remember what I tell you about. Remember I called this game and said,
"You gonna put money on
how?" No, I wouldn't put money on it. But remember how I said like LeBron with the homework checking? Mm-hmm. Now he's coming off a win. So the team that gets that foot on the gas and that clutch, and they're in the win zone, there's no homework to check. He's gonna look at that like, okay, we won. Jimmy now. Let's see how he checks homework, because now he becomes the homework checker.
I mean, Jim, and tell me what y'all think about this. Jimmy Butler is the most reluctant shooter on the court. Like when he stopped shooting the ball.
Man, he be right at the basket and passing it outside. Now I don't like that brand of basketball, man. Let me tell you. You know what I didn't like? I know Bam Adebayo is a better player than Olynyk.
Yeah.
But do you see how the Lakers they switch up their lineup according to the team they playing?
Yeah.
I think Olynyk is a better player, a better matchup for the Lakers because Olynyk has the threat of a three-pointer where Bam Adebayo is mainly in the paint. And I think you do better that way to have a better chance to win if you got another three-point shooter. Because that's what they want.
But Olynyk don't have the defense out of you. You give up something either way.
That's true too.
All right, so
you give one, you give up the other. You're right.
It's your chance to come in because now it's the time to check the facts with Stacks. You know, it's that time. So, Stack, what did we get wrong? And I'm sure we got some stuff wrong today.
I'm gonna take it into another direction today. What y'all got right was getting Allan Houston on the show today because that was a great interview. You called Stephon Gilmore, Stephen Gilmore, but you know, other than that, other than that, I mean, you know, luckily
I didn't even hear it, Frank. For the record, I didn't hear it.
Hold on, Frank. How you bringing the fact checker and get mad when he checks the facts?
He corrected himself. Though. He did correct himself, but you know
that's not even the part. I think Stack is saying that because he got to have something to say. Because I can't be saying Stephon.
Hey, but you're right. I didn't have anything to say. I was listening to Allan Houston. He was giving us all the gems, dropping all the the facts. You had the little nostalgic Knicks moment. I wish you had some background music for it. Actually, that's another thing we got wrong. We should have had some background music while the Knicks fans was going through their nostalgia. But other than that, man, I mean. It was a great
right, let me ask you some questions.
Did you hear when Frank Frank said that Allan Houston was the coach of Miami in the first time?
Yes, I did see that. I did see that.
I was like, wait.
Yeah, you accidentally said Allan Houston for the coach instead of Eric Spoelstra.
That was an accident.
Yeah. Allan caught it though. Allan caught it, so I was just like, just maybe it's comic relief.
No, what I meant to say was.
Yes.
Okay, now can I ask the question? You all done? Can I ask the question? Here's the question for you guys, right? What adjustments do you think Miami's going to make? Because Miami did not expect AD to be handling on Jimmy Butler last night. They didn't expect that at all. You know what I mean? That, I think, is what shut things down. If you all notice, the last 3 minutes of the game, that's what shut it down. You know what I mean?
I think the fatigue was the biggest factor. I think they were all suffering from fatigue. Jimmy Butler usually can go into a big guy, but man, the guy's so big, he leaned into him. He's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, and so he was able to push around, with his physicality. He was able to push Dwight Howard around. But he can't do that with AD.
Yeah, I agree.
I think AD to taste the juice, and they try to get that ring the next game.
I agree with Rodney. I think it comes down to being tired and spent, and that this extra day rest because they don't play till Friday. They don't play tomorrow. They play Friday. So this extra day, people are going to come back a little refreshed. And like I said, it's Miami's game to steal. Mm-hmm. If Jimmy Butler can check homework. Like LeBron checks homework, we can get a second game out of
Jimmy, he might not go to school some days though.
Nobody's talking about how Miami's missing a lot of shots, and I don't think that's going to last this many consecutive games. But Fig, what you think?
I want first before I say that, I'd like to give kudos to Miami for being in it the way that they in it because let's not let go of the fact that Dragic is their leading scorer and the top scorer on the team, and they do not have him. And they've been in every game. I mean, last night they only lost by 6 points. So let's give them that. And I do think that they're tired because the whole rotation is changed and it's a little off because you don't have your top scorer. You don't have your top player. So your whole rotation is off. But I like telling, I do believe that Miami could possibly steal another one if a few shots. Look, two 3-pointers and this whole thing it's a different game.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially that game last night. That game last night, they were off by making maybe one or two bad mistakes, and the game went away from them.
Hey, I tell you what, I'm a believer in that little hero boy. That boy
Yes,
is the truth.
sir.
Hero is the truth.
Listen, we saw that firsthand when in the Celtics series because that boy sank the Celtics almost single-handedly. But anyway, Stack, what's your thought process on that?
I mean, that's my thought process right there. You know, I think that the Lakers do look like they want to just finish it out, but everybody does look gassed. So if Miami's gonna win the next game, they got to get back to playing their style of basketball, which is swinging the ball around because nobody's faster than the ball. And they got to knock down those outside shots. And there's nothing you can do with them at that point. They look like the Golden State Warriors when everybody's hitting them. So
yeah, you know what? Yeah, right. The thing, a big major factor in this whole series is Miami's not hitting shots. You know what I mean? Miami's not hitting shots. Once Miami hits the shot, right, if they hit the shots like they normally hit,
Somebody answer the phone. Answer the phone.
It's not my phone. I don't know.
Let me.
I never answer my phone.
you live by the 3, you die by the 3.
That's true, but they're not going to die the next game by 3 because those shots they were missing, I think they're going to hit.
But,
you know what I mean?
But let's keep in mind about the infamous text LeBron sent to his teammates that this is a must win.
Yeah.
Before that game, he sent the text to the teammates. He said he was not leaving it open to be tied up. He don't want to hear nothing. So you already know if you're on a LeBron James team, with the exception of maybe AD, this could be the thing that gets you fired. Let's say that game is on the line and you take an ill-advised shot or have an ill-advised turnover, you out of there.
Friday's game is going to be a must-win game too for them, for the Lakers, because you don't want to give Miami another chance. You need to kill them when you have the chance. Because if anything come back from a 3-1 with those kind of shooters, I'd be scared of Miami if I was them. I'd be like, we need to put our foot on their neck while we can.
Yo, man, I've never seen another star player cuss out his team like LeBron be. You see, it's like every time somebody
he was about to beat up Caruso last night.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
Everybody, AD, Ron,
because he get all the blame.
The referees.
I'm like LeBron.
He be cussing out. How you gonna cuss out the referee? The only person he ain't cuss out is Vogel.
But hold up. Rodney Perry is a LeBron Laker fan. So let me say this: that my one moment last night that I was not proud of LeBron. He has to stop bitching at regular fouls. They're part of the game.
God.
He bitched at the end of that game on Crowder. He goes up, and the first time he kind of hit him back here. The second time he hit him up here. LeBron came down like he wanted to fight the whole planet of Jupiter because he got tired. It's basketball.
Yeah.
You gotta stop
He pulled him out the air though, Tyler. He pulled him out.
Wait, hold on. You know what?
His shoulder and pulled him out the air.
He did, but you know what? That's why. Don't label me as a
career-ending injury.
But listen, that's why. That's why a lot of people say that LeBron James probably wouldn't have been able to play in the '90s era when that foul that he got last night was a play on.
That's not true.
That was a play on.
That is true.
I'm so tired of hearing that.
I mean, look, no. What I'm saying is, you seen the coverage with Barkley them talking about the old days. They wouldn't exist now. So I mean, we can what if that to death. But the reality is, LeBron is bigger than all them dudes was back in the day.
Exactly.
That makes it even worse.
No, what I'm saying is, if he had to play like that, he would.
Yeah.
What Danny Ainge and Don Stockton and
I'm pulling the Rodney Perry,
Mark Price and all these dudes gonna do with Russell Westbrooks and Victor Oladipos and guys like that?
Foul them when they come to the hole.
Let me tell you something. Here's a fact, the mundo, not even opinion. Let's deal with a fact. If we got into a fight every time we got fouled playing basketball, there would be no basketball.
And you, my friend, have the last word. Now tell everybody out there how we can follow you and everything else. We'll finish this conversation tomorrow.
You can find me at punchhimintheface.com. No, I'm just playing. I'm at Talent the Comedian. I'm on Twitter, and it's just comedy. And King Talent Harris on Facebook. Fig, give them your information.
Man, I'm at Comedian Fig on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you can't find me on my page, go check out Talent's page because I'll be over there, and check out Rodney Perry's page. And I'm not going on Stacks and Frank page because they lost in homers.
Yeah, Rodney, go ahead.
I would be in my side chick house trying to figure out where it all went wrong. Talent just said Factamundo. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing about that? Factamundo. Go to the website, RodneyPerry.com.
Yo, y'all can find me watching Craig Elo highlights and realizing LeBron wouldn't stand a chance against him. Also at Stackanova, Instagram and Twitter.
Craig Elo highlights.
Brilliant, Stack.
Hey, LeBron wouldn't have made it back in that day. Craig Elo was an all-star, you know. LeBron wouldn't have made it.
Oh, anyway.
I heard about everybody talking about Bill Russell like he wasn't playing with all white people.
Hey, let's talk about it. Wilt Chamberlain too.
With no black.
I'm Frank Holder. I got to give thanks to Allan Houston for coming in the show. That was a great interview.
Dope.
Thanks for taking the time to do that. Even though I didn't wear my colors today, for Knick colors, I'm a Celtics fan. I want to thank him for wearing the show. I want to thank Talent. I want to thank Fig. I want to thank Rodney Perry. Thank Stack. You are watching The Box Seats on the Hero channel. Download the Hero app. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're on all devices. Tell your cable service provider to add you. We'll be back tomorrow, 1 o'clock. In case you didn't know, on Monday through Friday, 1 to 2. This was The Box Seat. We'll see you.
Rodney said, ain't nobody